The afternoon sun had been swallowed by an unnatural fog. Clover, barely 20 and fueled by frantic adrenaline, pushed deeper into the brush. Her dog, Lola, had vanished hours ago, just a flash of fur chasing a stray cat into the tree line. Now, the only things Clover had left were the dying battery of her phone and a flickering LED flashlight. The air didn't just get colder, it got thicker. Every step felt like wading through deep water, a magnetic pull dragging her toward the heart of the trees. The audio illusion. Bark, bark. It was Lola. Clover saw a shadow dart behind an oak, the familiar silhouette of her golden retriever. Lola, come here, girl, she yelled. But as she ran toward the sound, the woods shifted. The path behind her didn't just fade, it ceased to exist. The barks began to change. They grew rhythmic, almost mechanical. The wind didn't whistle through the leaves. It whispered her name in 1,000 overlapping voices. The welcome mat. Panic set in when she hit a clearing. In the center stood a rotting, hand-painted sign that looked like it was dripping with fresh oil. Clover's heart hammered against her ribs. She fumbled for her phone. No service. She screamed for help, but the forest swallowed the sound, tossing back an echo that sounded like mocking laughter. A heavy thud echoed from the darkness. A massive figure, draped in tattered, filth-crusted rags, emerged from the tree-line clutching a rusted felling axe. Clover turned to bolt, but the ground betrayed her. A hidden snare, a thick, blackened rope, snapped shut around her ankle, hoisting her leg into the air. She slammed into the dirt, clawing at the earth as she was dragged toward the center of the clearing. The shadows stepped forward, faces caked in dried mud, and wearing clothes that looked like they had been harvested from previous visitors. They didn't look like people. They looked like starving predators seeing a meal for the first time in years. They breathed in heavy, wet rattles, their eyes wide with a frantic, manic hunger. The giant with the axe stepped over her. He didn't hesitate. With a guttural grunt, he brought the blade down. The steel bit deep into Clover's calf. The metallic scent of blood hit the air instantly, splashing across the ragged clothes of the onlookers. They didn't recoil, they cheered. As Clover's vision began to blur from the pain, the last thing she saw was the circle of people beginning a slow, rhythmic dance around her, their shadows stretching long and jagged under her flickering LED light. 6 of them crossed the police tape just before dusk. They weren't supposed to be there, everyone knew that. The sheriff had told them to wait until morning, said fog like that wasn't natural, said the woods weren't right. But Clover had been one of them, a classmate, a friend, and waiting felt worse than whatever might be out there. The 6 were together. They followed same part Clover and Lola followed, and were drawn just like an ancient pattern for the souls. But in no time, they split instinctively, not by plan. The echo. Mason heard Clover first. Not her voice exactly, more like the idea of it. A laugh that cut off too fast. A footstep that matched his pace a second too late. Every time he turned, the trees rearranged themselves, trunks sliding like chess pieces when he wasn't looking. When he finally ran, the sound ran with him. He didn't feel the branch strike his head. He only felt relief when the world went dark. The stillness Jade stopped moving because the forest told her to. Not with words, with pressure. The air around her thickened until breathing felt rude, like making noise in a church. Her flashlight beam froze mid-sway, illuminating a circle of trees that leaned inward, listening. Something brushed her wrist, gentle, almost affectionate. She woke hours later, buried to the neck in cold soil, unable to scream. The false path. Evan followed footprints. They were Clover's shoes. Same tread, same size. They led him confidently down a narrow trail that felt correct in a way nothing else had. The trail ended at a tree with bark like stretched skin. Hands, too many, too thin, slid out of the trunk and pulled him inside. The forest closed behind him like nothing had happened. Priya and Noah stayed together the longest. They didn't hear things. They didn't see things. They felt observed. Every clearing held silhouettes just out of focus. Every shadow leaned the wrong way. When Noah finally turned to ask Priya if she felt it too, she was already gone, standing 10 feet away, staring upward with a smile that didn't belong to her. She collapsed mid-step. Whatever had been watching decided Noah could sleep too. Lena found the table. It sat impossibly level on a slope, set with mismatched plates, rusted cutlery, and 6 empty chairs. A 7th, larger, heavier, sat at the head. A rotting sign leaned against it, letters smeared and oily. Dinner is almost ready. Something struck her from behind before she could read it twice. Elsewhere, Clover drifted in and out of consciousness. The pain in her leg pulsed in time with chanting she couldn't quite hear. New voices had joined the old ones, different rhythms, different fears. The circle had grown. She didn't know who they belonged to yet, but she knew the forest never took just one, and it was still hungry. Red and blue lights bled into the fog just before night fully settled. Deputy Harlan Reed was the first to cross the police tape this time, shotgun tight against his chest. Behind him came Detective Andrew Hale. Everyone called him Mr. Andrew, though no one knew why. He had tired eyes and a voice that carried authority even when it whispered. They weren't alone. Maribel Crow, Clover's aunt, refused to stay behind. Jonah Pike, a volunteer firefighter. Ruth Ellison, the neighbor who swore the woods had been wrong since she was a child. Two more deputies, Cole Brenner and Sasha Imani, rounded out the group. 9 of them entered the forest. Stay together, Mr. Andrews said, stopping them before the tree line. No matter what you hear, no matter what you think you see, this place, he paused, choosing his words carefully. This place wants you scattered. The fog swallowed them whole. The ground that takes. Jonah Pike was walking near the back when the earth sighed. That was the only sound, like soil exhaling. Hands didn't grab him. The ground did. The dirt softened beneath his boots, turning fluid, dragging him down as if gravity had chosen him personally. He screamed once before the mud sealed his mouth. His arms flailed, fingers clawing at roots that wrapped around his wrists and pulled. The others rushed forward, grabbing his jacket. Too late. The earth closed, smoothing itself flat. No hole, no trace, just a faint warmth where Jonah Pike had been. The forest leaned closer. The river that lies. Further in, exhaustion gnawed at them. The air was heavy, breathing felt like work, and then water. A river, slow and glassy, reflecting trees that didn't quite match the ones above them. Deputy Reed dropped to his knees first. God, I need. No, Ruth Ellison said sharply. Don't drink that. Mr. Andrew felt it then, the pull. Not thirst. Obedience. Deputy Cole Brenner and Maribel Crow stepped forward together, eyes unfocused. It's fine, Maribel murmured. It wants to help. Sasha grabbed Cole's arm. You don't know that. But something stronger than fear pressed them down. They drank. 5 minutes passed. Cole doubled over first, gasping, clutching his stomach as if something inside him was expanding. Wrongly. His scream cut short as his body ruptured from within, a violent, impossible burst that sent the others staggering back. Maribel followed seconds later. Then Deputy Reed. Each one ended suddenly, explosively, as though the forest had rejected them all at once. The river kept flowing. Clean. Untouched. Taken upward. What remained of the group ran. Branches clawed at them. Shadows reached where light couldn't. Sasha Imani and Ruth Ellison looked up at the same moment. The trees were bending, not inward, but up. The canopy opened like a mouth. Something unseen seized them, lifting them effortlessly into the fog above. No screams. No struggle. They were simply gone. Leaves drifted down slowly in their place. The last warning. Only Mr. Andrew remained. He stumbled through the dark, blood on his coat that wasn't his, whispering Clover's name though he didn't know why. He found signs, drag marks, disturbed soil, symbols carved into bark that pulsed faintly. Then the woods went quiet. Too quiet. He felt the attention shift away from him. The forest had taken enough. Elsewhere, Clover screamed herself awake as the chanting broke. The circle had collapsed. The voices faded, irritated, unfinished. She crawled, dragging her injured leg through wet leaves, every sound echoing too loud. The trees no longer blocked her path. They let her go. She was found at dawn just beyond the tape, unconscious, covered in dirt and blood that didn't belong to her. Clover survived, but survival wasn't freedom. She woke at night hearing footsteps that matched hers a second too late. She flinched at laughter. She blamed herself, over and over, for Mason, Jade, Evan, Priya, Noah, Lena, and everyone who came looking. The forest still stood, waiting, and Clover knew, deep in her bones, that it remembered her. For more creepy and spine-chilling stories like this, do subscribe and hit your notification button to get updates. The big question: do you think Clover will ever recover from the shock, or will part of her always belong to the woods?